I am Roy Collin, the host of the podcast. You can find everything about me by scanning the QR code there or going to roycollin.com, and you'll find my 6 podcasts: the Podfather, helping people become podcasters; the Awakening, exposing fraud and corruption but with solutions; the Crypto, all things blockchain technology; meditation podcast; speaking podcast; and the Learn Polish podcast. You can also help the show by actually making a donation, visiting the store, or helping my sponsors. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Welcome to the Speaking Podcast. You can find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com. My guest today is Austrian, Californian, multimedia artist living in LA currently. He's the author of 5 books. He's a podcaster, a speaker, and he's now creating alternatives to the way art works. Please welcome Michaell Magrutsche. Did I do it justice?
Yeah, Magrutsche. Yeah. Michaell Magrutsche, very simple. I just go by Michaell because the last name nobody can spell. So, yeah, thank you for having me, Roy. I really appreciate it that you give me some canvas to paint. And let's see what we can dance with.
Exactly. And I'm actually, I'm looking forward to this because at the end of the day, you're trying to help the children. But let's find out a bit more about Michaell, your own kind of journey, and then how you got into the art and the education and all that you're doing.
Okay, yeah. So I was a sick child, born in Vienna, and I went to school at 7 because I was sick. And at 7, I got the second punch in my face that I'm extremely neurodivergent. So all I have actually achieved was, according to system relevance, I was at 8 years of school and I had to repeat 2 years of it. And then I couldn't repeat anymore because I couldn't understand. I couldn't regurgitate. I have no problem talking to you, as you see. But when it comes to writing and stuff, so I hate cell phones because they're too complicated, too little. I push the wrong buttons and everything. So I was saved by art, literally, because it's like we all saved by art, right? We are in adolescent, we want to belong, we want to be with somebody, and you think, oh my God, I'm so bad, I can't even go to school and whatever. And then you hear a song, see a movie, and you see you understand that you are not the only one that suffers. You're not the only one that goes through a hard time. And actually that gives you power. And I was always in love with music, and then I became a DJ. Then I produced fashion shows. Then I did all kinds of stuff I'm that old where actually from film to video, we went from film to video. And I was in one of the first Austrian media companies and building that up, from film and whatever to video, Betamax and so on. And when I was 30, I looked at my resume and I wanted to write a new CV for other people for getting a job. And I really got hit in the face by that because every job that I did was a creative job. It was an artistic job. Advertising, everything was in the video, the advertising, the music. And I thought, I'm an artist. I really can't be anything else because I couldn't be a doctor, attorney, or anything. So I deemed myself an artist. And you know how that is, because you're not an artist unless the system says you are. So that's why art is called a hobby, because only Warhol is an artist. And Picasso is an artist, and I grew up with really because my uncle was a master teacher on the Applied Arts Academy in Vienna, and that's where Hitler didn't get accepted to, and when we had we had some on Sundays, we had some lunch and stuff, and they were saying that at that time that neither Picasso and there was the president of the Applied Arts, that was like 40, 50 years ago. They said, Warhol is not a painter, he's not an artist, because Warhol just makes photos and colors them. And Picasso is not a thing and the reason was Picasso is not an artist because he did, at that time, he was still alive, 25,000 paintings. That can't be an artist. An artist needs to be long and, thing. And so I saw from child on this a misunderstanding with the art. And And I kind of left that going, or kept being in the arts. I was hired by Robert Evans, who did The Godfather, and Chinatown and Love Story, to work with him, co-produce with him, lived in his house, met all those people. Very disappointing, because I wanted to always be a producer, but I didn't know what producer was. And I think the whole world is suffering from that. You said, oh, I want to be Elon Musk, but you don't know what Elon Musk's life is, or Jeff Bezos' life, you know? And so when I found out that a producer is basically a CEO, like in the business, you know the CEO is a financial juggler. The leader is the guy that runs the team, keeping all the plates spinning. And I was thinking I was a producer where I can talk to beautiful actresses, where I can look at the scripts, where I can do all this stuff and talk to the cameraman and understand, learn. And it was not at all at that. It was not at all, the case. And so, like literally a month after working with Robert Evans, I knew I don't want to be a producer, even though I wished it so much. And then, but I loved working with him. I loved him, by the way. We became very, very good friends. And till he passed, I was always in contact with him. And what else? Then, the decision of being an artist was basically when you own this is you, there's nothing else you could do, then the life it's just, you accept it, whatever it is. Oh, there's not a lot of money in art. Okay, you accept it. And then the possibilities arise. For example, I was voted by 6 councilmen of 7 to be the Arts Commissioner of Newport Beach, which is a very rich town. And I didn't win the election, but then I was selected like 2 years later. You don't know when success hits or what it is. We all think, oh, you have the 3 steps, 5 steps. No, there's no step, because every human is a one of one. You are one of, Roy, you are one of 8 billion people, and you have a life perspective that is unique to you, because look at your family. Your family, everybody in your family has a different perspective of life. They're not all in the same party. They're not all in the same thing. They're not all staying in Ireland, right? Everybody has a different experience. So I more and more got this. And in my 5th book, I had it. I said, I cannot imagine even or fathom that a world without art. And why have artists are worldwide on a poverty level? 99% of artists they don't have money in the world, even though we have never had so many artists that like now. And it's said, why are more and more people artists, and at the same time they're poor? It's not like, oh, I made $1 million in stock trade and everybody goes to stock trade. No. And so I dove into this, and I found out that it's so magical. And you learn so much about yourself when you create. You had the inspiration to do a podcast, right? And then you switched it and tweaked it. And it is in the tweaking, in the learning, in the thing, that is the thing. If your podcast is not number 1, like, or 2 after Rogan, it doesn't really matter, because otherwise we would have stopped it. If you say, well, I don't make money, I should make way more money, I would just stop. It's a passion. It's your inspiration. You learn so much. And the most valuable thing is to actually interact with other humans, because I'm one of 8 billion and you are one of 8 billion. And the honor that you and I can have the opportunity to dance like here right now is breathtaking. I mean, you can't pay for that. There's no money in that. And also to realize that the super artists are like the super podcasters. They are very, very few, 0.001%. But you hear always about those. You never hear about you and me or anybody. But it doesn't really matter for me. I understood that. Once I understood it, I don't care. I'm looking forward to talk to you, to dance with you, and enrich me, but being with you and see you have your perspective. Not saying, oh, Roy, I'm right, you're wrong. Or, that's systemic, that's political talk. That's why nothing goes on in politics. because it's a generalization, and it's like left or right, left or right, left or okay. It's a generalization. We are all one-on-one. We can't be generalized. I cannot say, "Oh, Roy, you are like all white men," whatever. No. Well, a woman, you are like all Asian women. You are all like, you can't. Everybody's one-on-one, and there's tougher women and softer guys. There is every variation. So you can't really generalize. The moment you generalize, you lose the connection with that other one-on-one person.
What I mean, there's a lot of things I want to delve into, but one thing that I saw, it was a video actually of you painting the garages, and I'd never seen that before, and I thought, wow, that's beautiful, because in reality, if you go around, you drive around the neighborhood, all the garages are grey doors or whatever. It's just like, it's boring. And then you see this, you go, wow, that's cool. But was it the same building that you were just keep repainting?
Yeah, it's the one. No, no. This was one project of a very nice guy here in Laguna Beach, and he sadly passed like a couple months ago. But he wanted to say, I said, I don't want, like you said, I don't want just a gray or white or black thing. I just want something different. Can we do something? And I said, yeah. And I made a lot of samples for him, because I want him to decide what to do. I said, we can do this, 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 this. And I cranked out the samples, which I then interspliced in the video, that you see could have looked like this, it could have looked like that. And you see the end, what it looks like, but what it came out, but how much effort. And it was also to educate the people that even the simplest thing was very simple, what we actually did, because he liked that the best. But how much goes into even to get to the simplicity that where he's 100% satisfied. It was his pride and joy. He showed everybody, because he helped me. I said, come on, help me with creating this. And we had so much fun. And it shows the possibility that you can do. I mean, art is so magical. The creation of art is so magical because you see what's possible. I mean, remember Star Trek, right? They had iPads, but nobody had iPads, and now everybody has an iPad.
The flip phone.
Exactly.
So, because you're working on preschool education, and like there's kind of four mandatory subjects that you're kind of seeing. So I mean, I haven't listed there, but they're obviously on the top of your head. So you may just go through them and explain what you're trying to do.
Okay, so what I want to do is I'm working all over the world with that, and by the way, there's no money in it. It's just a passion of mine. So what I found, because I'm an expert, because I have no education, right? I have 8 years and I repeated 2. And I found, I think, when I went to the education podcasts first and talked to people or to other people here in education, I had a question. I said, because what I couldn't understand is, what is education good for today? Not 200 years ago, but today. What you have internet, you have so what is the function of education? And you know what? 0 people could answer. I have never heard anybody answer this question, because they have never asked the question themselves.
Well, my answer before you tell me why, because it's something I'm always asking. I'm saying it's make you compliant for the corporate system. That's what the education system is.
Yeah, it's like I said. What today? What is the function also? Not the form. The form is still from 1845. The Prussian, the army. Education was created to pre-select kids to get in the army and prepare him, get him disciplined, get all the stuff, get him in line to get like German, very, and you get him, and it's easier to bring into the army, to bring the people in the army, so you don't have to start beating him up. The earlier you get him, the better it is. And so we have the same form, but it's still the same form, because they kind of like that. Oh, the people have discipline. They're good. I mean, Hitler used what? Remember that is the kids. People were poor after the First World War. Nobody had any such thing. People made kids because in crisis they made kids, with all these kids running around on the street, frolicking and whatever. And Hitler came here and gave them socks. I'm not pro Hitler. I'm not at all. I'm actually against that. But this is why it works. When people don't understand why does Hitler work. Did Hitler work? It worked because he gave the kids food. He put some clothes on, and he taught them discipline. And that was at that time was very important, because when you're disciplined, you can handle scarcity. You can handle, after war, times after wars. And you know how Europe was. I mean, you from Ireland, that was horrible, So I want to teach the kids. So nobody could answer the question. And I have an opinion. My opinion is what the function of education should be today is how to handle systems. Not how to be system relevant, but how to handle. So when you go to art school and you get an MFA, and you're lucky to get an MFA or whatever, and you have the degree, and the gallery comes to you and says, "Hey, Roy, you're so good. We saw an exhibition of the university, and we want to represent you." No student knows from the school, from the teaching, how to do an inventory list, how to make a deal with the gallery, what's the percentage, what's supposed to be the percentage. They completely don't know. They're just artists. It's like it's just you don't know. So also, when you go to normal school, shouldn't you be able to say when they have a system problem, how to deal with an attorney? What do I need to learn before I even go to an attorney? And how to handle an attorney at the interaction, handle a doctor, a hospital visit. Those things should be educated, that people actually can function as humans in the systems. And what before should happen, that brought me to, that's true. So actually there should be first understand what it is to be human, to be a one-on-one, to be a social animal, that we all need to work synergistically, not hierarchically, that we have to have a pact. I think it's important because kids are still not so system-relevant conditioned. They're still better with animals. So that you have an interaction with that other living being where you can't understand the language. And so I would have like art, group art, theater or singing or whatever, and I would have like a team sport. Because sport gives you the linearity, the order that we inherent have, and how to work together in an order, how to execute something. But also I want to do the art, because in the art group, I would put the same people to have both subjects. So, for example, the quarterback of the team captain perhaps has to do a woman that is old, 80 years old, and knits, because they don't have that, in the play. Or if the artist say, no, we don't want to be so violent, the sports, then they say you can do the jerseys, you can do the shoes, you can bring water, you can be the, you need to be living and experience that, and be the referee. So you have all these things that you actually can do that are not the whole thing. And then have an awareness where everybody talks to each other about it. Experience with the animal, even if it's a goldfish. Experience in the theater, in the arts, in the group arts, and in the group sports. Because that would give you that. And then in the awareness, you say, hey, we are all one-on-one. You see, this girl is so good. They wouldn't even hire her in that sports team, that girl. And there could be that the quarterback says, I was playing the old lady, but I actually don't want to be an old lady, but I would like the master role. I would like to try out something for a major role. So you can test, and then you feel it, and you see where you're drawn to, not where, okay, according to you, we observe you should be a fireman, you should be a lawyer, you should be a doctor. They have never discovered their one-on-oneness. And that's what I want to teach them in a year before I do. They have that experience, so that when they become really self-aware, into that, open up into this world, in the system world, which you know is never ending. It's always more complicated and whatever. But if you, so the resonance of you with the system is very important, because you cannot work 8 hours and you hate the job because somebody told you should be a fireman.
I've seen that with a load of lawyers and
Yeah.
accountants, because they've
Yeah.
studied, 4 to 6, 7 years, and they believe that's my career, that's my, and they kind of go for the money, but they're miserable. They never go for the passion. And with the education system then, because like I know in Ireland, they took out the music, they took out arts when I was about 13, and I loved it. I mean, like in the secondary school, really enjoyed it. They just got rid of it. And they've done that in a lot of countries because they don't want you to be doing that. They don't want you to be creative, because being creative connects you as well. Because when you look at somebody who's creating something beautiful, it's like there's a bond there. There's a conversation happening. Nobody has a conversation about Pythagoras' theorem, or about anything like that. They never do. It's never the topic of conversation, or the history that you've read, or the geography. Nobody's having them conversations in school. But that somebody will just admire the art or the sports that you've said. Yeah.
I mean, look at Ireland. Ireland is so historically, the culture is what is Ireland. Like Vienna, it's like the culture is what made Ireland. The culture is what made Vienna. The culture is, what made Paris. It's not like, oh, the businesses made Paris. It's the businesses made. I mean, Ireland has Kerrygold and Guinness, but what is, that is nothing. That's a brand. But the culture of Ireland, that feeling when you get there, the whole thing when you talk to Irish people, it's one of one. There's nowhere in the world that is like Ireland. There's nowhere in the world that's like Vienna. But Ireland has more relevance because they are more refined in their one-on-one-ness. Austria kind of tries to be, a big city, on the mainland. So, but
if we look at the sport, because especially now with the Euro going on, we have our own hurling and Gaelic as football in Ireland, and even when there's the county championships, you can have a husband and wife supporting the opposite teams, sitting next to each other, wearing their colours, and nobody will attack them, or you won't have fights and everything. When you look around, I mean, I've been to a lot of matches around, and you see armed guards, even in Poland. It's like the amount of police and it is disgusting to see. And it's that should be encouraged, and that should be encouraged from a young age, instead of the hatred, because then it becomes us and them instead of the joy of the sport.
Yeah, we all want one. I mean, as much as I want to be 6'5" and whatever, and have blonde hair. That's what I got given by nature. My one-on-one-ness, and my one-on-one-ness decides I like this team or that team. My one-on-one-ness says I'm voting for this party. Who cares? And the voting is, they say it's such a privilege. It's that is like the worst thing, because 80%, the medium of humans, the outliers on both sides, right? The me outlier, or the outliers that are poor, or the outliers that are super successful. So you have 80% that kind of they're in the middle, and they want to vote perhaps a little bit more right, a little bit more left. They like this team a little bit more. They don't say I'm liking only this team, and that's the extremists, the outliers. But we are always forced into going, you're right wing, and so now you're extreme right wing. You're left, you're extreme. It's like the Tories of the Labour. You're just like, it's forcing us to actually exactly what you explained. Me against you, we against them, versus enjoying the dance of having a different opinion. Who cares? You have a different opinion. How can you have to say which opinion can be right when you are one of 8 billion people? And I'm one. Who says we are right? It's not like, oh, there's only man and woman. No, that's not the truth. Everybody's one-on-one. And so there cannot be anybody right. They can't. Only in system get it. And system says, oh, this is good, this is right. We make a law, you drive on this side of the street, whatever. In systems, they can do this, but not in the humans. We humans are here to dance with each other and to find each other synergistically.
You touch on 3 inherent human superpowers, and we're kind of touched on the creativity, but you might touch on the other 2 as healthy dialogue and adaptability as well.
So the creativity we have talked about, because we are collective creator animal. Humans are collective creator animal. Species, we are by nature. Because if we weren't that, all our New York, Paris, Dublin would all look the same, would look like an anthill, or it's all similar, but they're all completely different cities. So we are collective. Also, Apple is not Google. The nations are not the same. Russia is not Switzerland. It's just everything is different. So we created these systems where they actually should be artworks, because we are collectively created them. It was not like Steve Jobs, was it? I can't stand when they say they put one person. Oh, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs did it. I said, no, they didn't do it. If they did it alone, they would still sit in their garage in San Francisco and solder. They had other people still love creating. We love creating. That's why this is our first superpower, because that is inspiring to create. And the highest form of that is art creation, because it has no context. Like create a new computer, that's a context. Create a new shoe, that's a context. But art just wants to be created. You feel like blue, you do something blue. You feel like yellow, you do something that, and just, do it in the conversation between your non-physical and your physical. I'm not asking you, what should I do? I'm asking my non-physically, what is the next color that I should use? And then I adjust the colors or whatever, just the thing or the song. I go up an octave, go lower, extend the rhythm, change the rhythm. So you till you feel it's complete. And in that process, there is so much self-learning into it, which you do with your podcast. There's so much self-learning, and it's amazing. And then you do things what people say, oh, you should do this, and it doesn't work at all. So you say, why would you use? So it's nice when people have advice for you, but that doesn't mean you should adapt to this. I started at 30 because of my neurodiversity. I can only do a 30-second podcast. My podcast is...
No, I actually heard that now, because my last one is the pod fodder. It's only 2 minutes. And I thought, okay, you're after beating me with that, because you've done it with 30 seconds.
And I did, it's like a quote that from me, not from somebody else, from my quote, my experience, and the question to it. And it's all about that first superpower of creation, and especially art creation. So anybody that creates can listen to that, and everybody that is an artist can listen to it, because it's about the magic that happens when you create. And then the second superpower is what we're doing right now. This is not, I'm right, you were wrong, you were wrong. I'm a Republican, you are a Democrat. It's not that. I don't need to convince you about anything. I'll just give you my experience, life experience, and you give me yours and our perspective, how we see this. And we just, and this is very powerful, because when one person wants to convince another one, you shut down. You're not learning anything. We know that from school, right? When you need to do something and say, where the hell do I need this? Where do I need this? I mean, I've learned so many. I have no school. I have only 8 years. I've learned so many things that I've never used. Do you know what my biggest thing was that I learned because I'm neurodivergent? To type in a keyboard. That was literally why I spent 8 years in school, to learn how to type with a keyboard. Because I'm also dysgraphia, so my brain-hand coordination doesn't work. So I need to type everything, because if I write it down, I cannot identify it afterwards. So that's what I'm saying. So So the dialogue is very good, and this is how schools should be, where you talk about experiences, because the highest form is experiences. That's why I say have a theater, a group theater, have a team sports, have an animal, because you experience, hey, how do I communicate with somebody that doesn't speak my language? Either art or just being with your six senses to communicate. You're with a dog. The dog doesn't speak to him, but there's people that have such a good connection with the dog, and the dog is so aligned with him that does exactly what they want to do, and they also say what they don't like. So there's some very clear communication, and you don't need words to communicate. And then the third one is adaptability, because if you and I, and this is so good with Crosscut, because I said this is exactly what we do. Just look at this. You adapt. I have six senses. You have six senses. The sixth sense is resonating with somebody. And when that happens I've done 350 podcasts in the last 2.5 years, because people like what my perspective. I have such a unique perspective on it, because I am not system relevant. And I've never had a fight. We didn't meet before. You just come, you turn on, and this is honing that you actually very powerful, that you can actually click with people and talk right away. And there's we don't need to prepare. It's like with TV and stuff. They all prepare for stuff. They have everything written down. And that's why, more since podcasts, they have less and less viewership, because they can't relate. When you and I talk, people can relate. There's two people talking. So they can, with their six senses, plug in and get whatever they need to get. But news is made by 20 people, and it's like to make people addicted to the news. And it is tweaked,
I had a guest on one of my podcasts, and basically he sent me the script of everything that we were going to discuss, what I was going to ask him and what he was going to answer. And he got a big shock, because when he came on, first of all, he thought it was going to be just audio only. And I said, no video. And he goes, no, I don't want it. So I knew he was nervous about it. But I said, we're not doing the script. I want to know about you. And it ended up getting massive downloads, because and people don't realize that. Like, you can, and it's the same with some people that are doing a recording, and they've recorded it 100 times. Everything I do, I just do it once. Like, it's the odd time something will happen, and you have to. It is what it is. You get, and it's but people can relate to that. They know you're being authentic, and when people are rehearsing 200 times, they think people want perfection. They think they want no pause fillers, no anything. Everything must be perfect, and straight away people can see it. Like, because even if the information is fantastic that they've written, it's not authentic. You don't touch it. You don't feel it. And that's why it doesn't work. So all I say to people is, like, same with the art and everything. Like, I think one of the things as well is people, like, they're afraid of failing. And that's the same in school and everything, because we're judged straight away, unfortunately. Like, my youngest child, he's 10, the school he's in, they're copying the finishes stuff, and it's so good. I'm like, it's the best thing that I've seen. Like, there's plenty of arts. They have loads of art classes. They have loads of sport. There's music there. They have even different languages. And you can just see that the kids are so much happier. Like, it's not what I grew up with and saw. And even when you look at other schools and just hear other parents, what they're doing, like, there's no homework or nothing. And it's like they're sucking the child, the energy out of the child. They don't want them to be a child. And it's like, I think the parent has to take, like, responsibility for this, because you think, I'll put them into the school, they're going to get a good job, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. You don't own your child. Your child, you've just created the child. It has its own life, and let them find what's good. The one thing that I don't like, there's two kind of angles for this. So if we look at when I was in school, I remember I was 13. I came last in the class in a history exam. I got 18%. And the teacher said, oh, my grandmother would do better. She's dead 10 years. And it was like, I got mocked for that for ages. And he was just horrible to me. 3 years later, I got a totally different teacher. I got 100% constantly, and I got an A in the state exam. And that happened a few times. I was like yo-yoing between. So there's one side of things, it's a teacher's ability, because not all of them are good. But there's the other, like I even see it, like with my son, and he's kind of, we good communication with each other, and he tell me about, I know some kids, they're just, like maths is not their thing, or history, and it's, sometimes they're forcing the person to do something. And it's like, you will never have a job connected with that. So why are we putting so much energy, and just divert the energy towards what you're brilliant at, whether it's, it's acting or whatever. And they tend to try to throw fuel on the thing that you're getting it too well, or, like the worst marks. Hoping, because sometimes it's not the teacher. Sometimes you just don't have you're not magnetic toward it. It's just not your thing. So, like, what's your thoughts on that one?
It wasn't my part either. Trust me, I couldn't read. I could never, when I did it at home, there was no stress, I could do it. But then I had tutors. I was always an A personality to get it done. And I couldn't do the tests. It was too much pressure because the tests, you have it's not your life counts in your life, that you have character and help people and be who you are. No, takes an hour, a half an hour, a test, and you can do the test or you can't. So it's binary to decide. Also, the generalization of people that we all have to do math, we all have to do this. No, we don't, because that's what is education supposed to be. It should find you what is your thing. Not, it says we have only these 5 things or 10 things, and we make sure you get one of those 5 things. That is not education. Education is everyone is one-on-one. Everybody is individual. Like you said, you have no right about your son. You have no right. That you have this wonder of creating a child, and you, first of all, you getting so rewarded anyway, because it's having a child is more it teaches you more than Harvard or Yale. It's just because it makes you reflect on your childhood. It's so helpful. That's why parenting is such a powerful thing when you understand parenting, because it teaches you there's an interaction with young and old. Also, for example, I worked in senior citizens' homes. I worked with kids. I never talked down to anybody. When you have dementia and Alzheimer's, I was like, "Oh, Mr. Roy, how are you doing?" I never talked like that. I talk to you like I talk now. And I never talked to the kid. They said, "Don't," and whatever. I said, "Hey, that's interesting. Why do you do that?" "Oh, you're crying? Cry it all out. It's good for the lungs." I just dance with the kids, dance with the adults. I don't make difference. I work with a lot of young people, 20s and 30s, because I'm working with a university. And then I don't even see a difference. I don't see it. I mean, I'm 65. I don't see a difference between the people. It's just one. And also, what I say very much about the human centricity and the system relevance is because of financial principles before we decide to have democracy or communism, says it's never enough, no matter what we do. Because when you do, you know how it is. You make 10 grand today, but the shareholders say, "Great, Roy, but you make more tomorrow because we have inflation. We need to." So the whole world it's never enough, no matter what I do. You can enjoy. You have this quarter. You surpassed the quarter. You can't even enjoy that quarter of yourself because you need to get think ready for the next 3 months. So you're never in the moment. You're always in the outside in your mind construct, and that makes life so hard, and you cannot enjoy it. And that's driven. All the systems are driven by that. So what happens in schools is that's why they haven't changed schools, because always education had a very important social impact. Everybody was focusing. The education was. So now the people that are getting their daily, monthly check or bi-weekly check from educating, they want to not rock the boat ever. They want to just say, keep the boat like it was in 1845, and let's just keep that damn thing. And there's a whole, it's patch that up with a different race, a neurodiversity, or a concentration problem, and ADHD, but let's just keep that boat running. But the boat needs to be updated, and the boat needs to get new technology and new things so we can actually use them for the day. And also, we need thinking about it. We need to literally sit down and say, what would be the best education today, now, in this time? Not for in the future, not in the past. What can we give our kids the most to be super? When they come into the systems, they can jugulate, they know what they are, they know who they are, they know what they do. Why? This is easy for education to do. It's just a different perspective. I can use the perspective of I'm segregating in man and woman, and all the same. All boys are the same. All women are the same. Or I can say, no, everybody's one-on-one, and we have to figure out the one-on-oneness, because the one-on-oneness decides where you're gonna go in life. Because once you know that you're one-on-one, and you say, I'm not embarrassed because you can do math and I don't. You're not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed that you can do math and I can't, because I'm one-on-one. So there's nothing, I don't need to compare myself. I can observe others, but I don't need to compare.
Yeah. No, and I mean, unfortunately, this society. It's all about comparisons and trying to raise. So with the books, right? You've like how to place public arts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to, because I think the benefit of art is, one, instead of just people scribbling on the walls and everything, and like we mentioned the garages, but what other things can people do? And the other thing is, it's not for children. You can be any age and start take up a paintbrush and get creative.
Yeah, it's not looking at the product. The whole thing is with the art, with the public art. People have not learned to look at the process. And then the process that was necessary in public art, which is the city acquires something. I am not for that. I'm actually borrowing from the artists and exchanging art all the time. Because when you have one statue, you just walk by, it becomes an object. Yeah, if you have that, Trafalgar Square, Trafalgar Square, you have seen it once, you have seen it twice, see, but it's there, and you don't even see it anymore, And so when, first of all, there's two things with art. There's one, that it's about the creation. So you can be any age, like you said that very well, because it is you and the paper, it's you and the song, it's you and whatever you do. And the power is when you actually put it aside once you did it, or even if you get stuck, put it aside, do something else, and then come back to it. Your ego will be out of it, and you think, no, I'm not Picasso, I need to be like Picasso. No, you don't need to be like you. That's what you need to be. Like you are one-on-one, and that's all. Art doesn't ask you to sell it. It doesn't ask you to have 100,000 viewers. It doesn't say anything. Art is just, I give you an inspiration, Roy, create it. You got an inspiration. You got not motivated. You got inspired to create a podcast. And you did it. So that's your art creation. And you learn a ton about yourself creating that. How you react when people in the podcast, they want to sell you all the equipment and whatever. I bought a $40 camera and a ring light, and I did 300 whatever podcasts. So but you learn about that. You learn about yourself, and this is what I had to learn. You might have to learn something else, and you learn so much from creating that is not purpose. You need to make money. No, just create. Do whatever. If you feel like you want to, get some flowers together and put them in a water, that's enough. If you want to just take a little sand and put a couple of stones on it, that's enough. You don't have to create a masterpiece. You don't have to do the Mona Lisa. That is, we always look at the form. Just experience the function. Experience what comes in. And there's a lot of women artists that I see it's getting better. But before, when it was all men were artists, right, and the women were not open. So the woman, they controlled themselves by the first product that came out was actually, and a lot. I'm not talking about Georgia O'Keeffe and the big artists, Frankenthaler. I'm talking about normal artists around here in the area that want to be artists. And they were doing, my ex-wife did the same thing. She's like making these clouds, these pink, very beautiful clouds, where they do seascapes, where you just see the sea and the sun. And it's just, they do all this stuff. And I said, yeah, now you're open. Now you got to start. That's actually the starting point. And they were already finishing it. And I said, when you do this flower, and I said, I see everybody does this thing, and women do that. And when I tell them in my classes, I told them, I said, now you start, now you're open. That means you're open. When you do that, because it's everybody, it shows up in everyone the same thing, this flowery, things. So now you get open and just keep going and see what comes. And then what I tell them, I said, get cheapest paper and just do those clouds. Keep doing it, because it will break through, and then all of a sudden the emotion comes out, and then you will get to your uniqueness that is specifically you, that has nothing to do with clouds or anything. And all of a sudden you get crazy and to make a square thing of this and this, and all of a sudden you see that it's typically you. And this revelation of art is not accepted by anybody. No experts talk about it. They say, oh, it needs to have a beautiful form and the aesthetics or whatever. No, this is such a process. Art is such a magic to create art for everyone, because we are all artists. Otherwise, we wouldn't be collective creative species. Everybody is an artist. You just have to give it. We can't run. If you and I need to run a marathon tomorrow, we can. But if we practice for a year, we might, So just go into it. Go into it. And the problem of public art, in what I explained in this thing, I was arts commissioner. And when the people, they say, okay, we got to get this. There's 2 or 3 people that say that we got to get this art piece. We have this budget and we cannot get this. Then they get it and they don't care where they put it. They say, now we have the art piece. It's not like, where can we put some art, right? Like in Ireland, you go around and say, where could I put somewhere? Should I do contemporary art or should I do a classic art? Where should I place it? And then you say what's around there. Then you make let them people give you suggestions, and then you buy it. But usually for cities, they buy it because they're famous artists right now. Oh, that Roy of Ireland. Wow, I'm gonna get him. You buy your stuff and they put it in a corner where they could just put it, because it's segregated. They are not one process. They're a segregated process. The buying process is not the placement process, and they don't put even lights on it. Why would you not put lights on it when you have all this traffic at night and all the attention to the thing? You gotta have lights, even not extreme bright lights, but to this magic is different during the day and the night in a sculpture, for example. And why would you not put it in a place where a lot of cars go by? Because that would help if you in anywhere in Dublin or anywhere in this area, in a little minute scene place, they would say, oh, where was it? Oh, that was the thing where the sculpture is in the middle of the town is right there. And I was laughing at, and that there's flags and, attention, stimulation, motivation, inspiration.
And for those that, it's nice to get, like, you can go away, you can buy all the painting stuff, and prices are a lot more reasonable now than previous.
Yeah.
So, like, for those that are kind of looking to get a class and get a teacher, because based on, like, my history example, it's the same with some artists, and sometimes people push their style onto you. So how should somebody navigate to know when someone is good, when they're getting art? Should they just feel that they let them to be creative, or is there kind of, with your experience, how should somebody, if they're looking to try to up their game?
See, this is what me and Rick Rubin, the super producer, we say both the same thing. We say, you create it, and the moment you release it, like you and I created this episode, right? We are successful the moment this gets on air because we have actually done it, the whole process. Whatever is afterwards, if people plug in or whatever, is the icing on the cake. Whatever money you get is the icing. Whatever accolades you get is the icing on the cake. So don't worry if you get prizes, if you're good, if you get a gallery or anything. It's not it because artists always think, no, I need to get a gallery and the gallery is going to sell it. No, I was 5 years with a gallery and they sold one picture. The truth is different. You know, they say,
exactly. No, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Some people then they're beating themselves up if they sell nothing within a week or something like that, or a month.
Yeah. And I say, it's about the process. Enjoy every moment of your life because life goes by very fast if you don't. If you always think in the future and always in the past and always copy other people, life goes by like nothing. And I was till 52, my life went by like in a jiffy. Stop at 52. I got it. I got what I needed to know. And now I love every moment. Doesn't matter if I'm money.
To know because I'll be 52 in October.
It's just, no, when you segregate the system, and we should add, I'm going to add this. I sent you the link so people can actually read. I made something very condensed about what we're talking. In all contexts, we talk about the 101 is the system relevance, the human centricity, and that we are creator animals. And this is all in one document, short read. And it will literally, and I promise you that, once you understand that, it will make your life 50% easier. That's exactly happened at 52 with me. I understood that perception, how to look at life, and it changed my whole. I have less stress. I have, I just I dance better because I dance how humans supposed to dance. That's why I want to do the human education. Just learn what humans are supposed to do. What are we by nature? What are we by nature? And not what we need systemically to be whatever the system needs. I need more. If the system says tomorrow I need janitors and I don't need AI people, then nobody will pay AI and everybody will pay the janitors. It's like it's like whatever is needed. We need AI, and the people say go do coding. Now AI does the coding. So where are all the people that we now for 10 years said, learn coding, that you have a job all over the realm. So you see, you can't trust that. You can only trust your one-on-oneness. You cannot even, you can trust your family and stuff, but you have to first trust yourself on being the one-on-one. And say, nature didn't make me one-on-one. If it was irrelevant that you were one-on-one, and nature doesn't make mistakes. So if you say, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong, I don't have enough money, whatever, then you're still not on the same. And also, it doesn't mean you need to have enough money. You don't have to have a lot of money. You have to have enough of a house or where to live at. You don't have to have a mansion and kill yourself for paying for it. You can have a car. You don't have to have a Porsche. I'm living in Southern California. I don't have a car for 20 years. And 20 years, that was hard. Now you have Uber and Lyft and stuff. Now you don't need a car. But then 20 years in Southern California, there's no public transportation is very, very meek compared to Europe. And I'm totally fine. I adapted. And then you adapt and you're happy. And now I'm happy to have it because I had cars, and what it was when you have a car. The effort you do for a car, the maintenance, the registration, it's like a safety bank. You just give money, and effort. Get the new tires, get the new thing. I mean, it's like then you get a ticket because it's this. And I really now I thought they stole my car, and that's why I didn't get a car right away. So I had to live for a year without a car, and I could have started getting a car again. And I said, no, I don't want it because I enjoyed so much not to worry about bills coming in, threats, people stealing, and they stole my car. So I don't have to worry about it. I just take the And I really started to learn public transportation wherever I am, because that's where you're actually in contact with the humans there, you know?
And the thing is, I mean, it's very interesting, like you've just said, because like the amount of people, one, they don't save up for the car and just buy it outright, so they're getting loans at high interest rates. But like they're in traffic sometimes, especially in the States, you'd hear people 2 hours commuting to work.
Yeah.
Car sits outside, and then it sits outside the office when they're working, plus all the costs that they have to do. But the other thing is, you're not really totally present when you're driving because you have to pay so much attention to the road and you're watching the speed limit and everything. Whereas when you're in public transport, you're able to look around, you see things. I mean, I've often done that when someone else is driving, or if I'm in like an Uber, I'm going, I've passed by this a couple of 100 times. I've never seen this, you know, and it's, you know, and as you say, to just look across and have a smile with somebody or just have a conversation, you just don't know what's going to happen. And I mean, if the public transport system was operational the way it should be, I think a lot of people are happy to get rid of their cars, because it is a high cost. That's a, you know, and especially with
that's why they don't get better, Roy. That's why they don't get better. They don't get better. The public transportation doesn't get better because there's so much money being made by people driving cars. Yeah. It's not that people want to drive cars. No, people would. Then young kids today, they don't even want to do a driver's license. In America, usually in America, was 16 years you could have a driver's license. They don't even ever think till they're finished with college. They make a driver's license. They're not worried about it anymore. There's no like what we had, because we could still drive. We could still speed, drive, do whatever. And now you sit in traffic. That's not driving. You know, that you might as well go in the public transportation anyway. So the kids, and also when they see the costs of cars and everything and all this stuff, the parents say already no. And then even if they get money, they say, I don't have enough. I can either live somewhere and go out and have fun, or I can have a car. It's like, you know, it doesn't make sense. And this is what, that's why everybody needs to think they are 101. And whatever they think, if you need a car, you buy a car. If you don't, and if you want a car, do it. But you know, what I also discovered is that the end never justifies the means. Because when you get a reward, when you get to be, when I got to work with Evans, when I got to be arts commissioner, when I released my books, never made the joy of writing, the joy of wanting that and going in that direction, it never did. It never justified. Whatever I got as that's quote unquote successful never justifies the struggle and hardship and to get there. You have to dance to get there. If it's struggle and hard, it will totally disappoint you. I've talked to Oscar recipients. They say, you know, I worked so hard and I got this Oscar and blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't looking for the Oscar, but she got the Oscar. And then she said to me, so now they all see I'm an Oscar person. So now they don't hire me because she did independent films. And she said, I love the independent film because she was in the making, right? She was in the making thing. And said, now the independent film don't call me anymore because they think I'm too expensive because I'm an Oscar recipient. So for her, so I'm saying never focus on, never say, if you don't like the path to get there, if it's not fulfilling, if podcasting is not fulfilling, stop podcasting. You know what I mean? If it doesn't fulfill you, don't learn, you don't grow, just stop it. Nobody, and also these things, what they put in podcasting, right? You have to do so many. Show me one person. If we all do the right things, right? We cranking out weekly podcasts and whatever, and hours podcasts. And so some people even do 2 a week or 3 a week. And I say, show me the quality. It's all about just watch out you're doing on those 30 minutes or on the 40, but whatever is the thing. Do this, do this, do this. And everybody does it. But I haven't seen anybody that is successful because they put it out every day or every week. They put something out. It's the quality alone. So if you feel like you do one podcast a month, do one podcast a month and have a real quality. meaning go in the dance. And you can always have a quality. You don't even have to prepare. You just dance like what you're doing right now. We dance with each other. That's the best podcast you can do. There's not any preparation would be horrible.
Seen a lot of people with the podcast and exactly what you said, and even shows on platforms, and they're just churning through them, and that like they're not
boring.
even engaged.
Yeah, they're boring. They're not giving you anything new.
Like what you want is, like we touched there, it gets you going, thinking, and bringing you back to your own youth and your future. Yeah. And that's what you need in a conversation. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen with all of them. But I know, Michael, you've done it today. You've got people thinking, and it was a very enjoyable conversation. You might let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, it's easy. MichaellM.com. Michael with 2 L's, M.com.
So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As mentioned at the start, you can find my 6 podcasts on roycullen.com or scan the QR code if you're looking to start a podcast or do a podcasting tour, help with that. Also, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, we also have that service. And you can help the show by visiting the store, supporting our sponsors, or making a donation. Until next week, take care.